Hello, people. This is something I wish was trending more in the headlines. NASA's Artemis II launch mission countdown begins. The countdown for NASA's Artemis II test flight is underway at the agency's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, with members of the launch team arriving at their consoles inside the Rocco Petron Launch Control Center. The on-site countdown clock started ticking down at 4:44 p.m. Eastern Time to a targeted launch time of 6:24 p.m. on Wednesday, April 1st. I hope this isn't an April Fool's joke. Artemis 2 is the first crew launch of NASA's SLS Space Launch System rocket and Orion spacecraft. With countdown officially underway, engineers are powering up flight hardware, checking communication links, and preparing the rocket's cryogenic systems for the precise fueling sequence required to load hundreds of thousands of gallons of supercooled liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. At Pad 39B, teams will begin filling the sound suppression system's massive tank with water with sound suppression systems, which will unleash a protective deluge at liftoff to shield the vehicle from the roar of its own engines. The Artemis II crew, NASA and astronauts Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Koch, and CSA, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, remains in astronaut crew quarters inside NASA Kennedy's Neil A. Armstrong Operations and Checkout Building. The crewmates have spent the final countdown phase focused on readiness and technical verification, remaining in quarantine under strict health monitoring and complete medical checks to ensure fitness for launch. They have been following a controlled sleep schedule and nutrition plan to maintain energy and hydration for launch, while continuing to receive regular updates on the rocket's configuration and weather conditions from crew quarters. NASA and weather officers with the U.S. Space Force's Space Launch Delta 45 continue to pay close attention to weather conditions ahead of tanking operations. The weather forecast for launch day shows an 80% chance of favorable weather conditions, with primary concerns being cloud coverage and the potential for high winds in the area. Broadcast begins with live views and audio commentary of tanking operations beginning at 7:45 a.m. on April 1st on NASA's YouTube channel. Around the moon and back. And we will bring them home. 30 times the speed of sound. Launching soon.
You are looking live at Pad 39B, where the Artemis II rocket and spacecraft stand poised for liftoff later this week. Good afternoon and welcome to NASA's Kennedy Space Center for our L-2 briefing. I'm Courtney Beasley, NASA Communications Specialist, and
this is the kind of news I really get excited for.
I am joined today by our Associate Administrator, Amit Kshatriya, Charlie Blackwell-Thompson, Launch Director, John Honeycutt, Chair of the Artemis II Mission Management Team, and Emily Nelson, Chief Flight Director. We'll be taking questions shortly from media here in the room and through our phone bridge, but before we get started, we will kick it off with some opening remarks from our panel. Amit.
Afternoon. Let's see, we just wrapped up our L-2 Mission Management Team review and the team polled go to proceed towards the planned April 1st launch attempt. The MMT walked through the usual readiness items, vehicle status, ground systems, flight hardware, and the integrated launch operations timeline. We also reviewed the most recent engineering assessments, program level preparedness, and any open items from earlier reviews, in particular the agency FRR. After thoroughly walking through each of these areas, the team concluded that everything continues to look good, and there are no issues preventing us from pressing ahead at this point. As we enter the pre-launch phase, the teams are in a strong posture, and the mission remains on track. Over the last 10 weeks, the agency has prepared a crewed lunar test vehicle for flight and also restructured the program that it belongs to. This was done deliberately. A crew that understands the campaign flies with greater purpose. A workforce that sees the road ahead holds a higher standard. This flight and the future reinforce each other. This is how Apollo worked, and this is how we will work. Through all of it, this signal of truth and rigor came through clean from the teams working on the machine to the decision makers. Nobody lost focus. Nobody cut a corner. The people in this room and in the control rooms and on the pad and at every center across the agency, you are all instrumental The skills that you carry, the judgment you have built, the knowledge you hold, these are the things that are in the lifeblood of the agency. This mission is going to fly on Wednesday because you are here. As I said, the vehicle's ready, the system is ready, the crew is ready, and behind this flight stands a campaign. Landings, a lunar base, a nuclear propulsion into deep space. That begins, not ends, with what happens on Wednesday evening. I have complete confidence in this team and the NASA workforce. For everybody else, 53 years ago, humanity left the moon and did not return. Now we go back. The great challenges of the last century will run not in the command centers alone, but in our factories, where the industrial might of free nations built the instruments of progress. This challenge of expanding the frontier will be won the same way, by the craftsmen, the engineers, and the industries of free nations building together what no nation can build alone. And for all the children watching that are going to watch Artemis II, you need to hear us. An optimistic vision of the future is not naive. It is buildable. So when you watch Artemis II, think about it. When it lands, come and build it with us. To be optimistic. With that, I'll hand it over to the launch director.
Thanks, Amit. Appreciate that. It is really good to be here in the room with you today. And I think I said this when we came over for wet dress. I said I really enjoy being here because generally it's something big is getting ready to happen. So thanks for all of you for being here today, and thanks for coming along with us on this journey and helping to tell our story. I am thrilled to say that our countdown clock picked up just a little bit ago and began counting at 4:44 p.m. So while many of us have felt for the last several days and weeks and even months that we have a countdown clock and we were moving toward a targeted launch date, now the countdown clock shows that. And we are just about 2 days away from our targeted launch date. Our team has worked extremely hard to get us to this moment, and I am so very proud of the work that they have done. When we went through wet dress, the rollback, turning the vehicle around, getting back out to the pad, and then performing to plan, and really being ahead of plan as we rolled into this weekend. I think Sean mentioned yesterday that we roll back out on the 20th. And since we've been back out at the pad over these last 10 or so days, we've got all of our planned work is complete. Launch countdown preps are complete. We had all of them essentially done on Saturday. Emergency egress system is configured, ready to go. Crew access arm configured. We are now into, like I said, our launch countdown operations. So we'll power up Orion a little bit later this evening, and then core stage a little bit later after that, and then ICPS will follow. We'll begin the configurations of the vehicle, the checkouts that we do prior to getting deeper into our countdown, and all of this will take us over the next day or so. We do have our air to GN2 changeover will happen early in the morning on the 1st, and as you know, that kind of sets the pace for when we can tank the vehicle. Our LD go for cryo load is at 0734. We did put a new hold, or we extended the hold a little bit in the countdown just before tanking. So if the work is done and the team is ready, we may tank a little bit before that. We'll make that decision on console. But the tanking is planned for 0734. And that puts us, if everything goes to plan, with all stages replenished and the closeout crew ready to head to the White Room somewhere after 1 o'clock. Our flight crew will depart the ONC just before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'll count down. We'll get them in the ship. We'll do comm checks, make sure all of that's good, get the crew module configured, and we will count down to our T-minus 10-minute hold. Once we finish up that 30-minute hold and all systems are go, we'll pick up the count and we'll count down to our T0. So that's a little bit about our milestones and kind of where we are. It is an exciting time. It's an exciting time for this team and our crew and really our nation and the world. So we'll, as many have said, even yesterday, and as we talk about in all of our management meetings, we'll fly when this hardware is ready. We'll see if it's ready to go in just a couple of days. But certainly all indications are right now we are in excellent shape as we get into count. And with that, I'll hand it over to John.
We're not going to go through the whole thing. It's over an hour long, but I think this is projects like this can only be good. I think that we definitely should invest more money into going into space, going to the moon, going to Mars, and beyond. And in the long term, humanity needs to become a multi-planet species, because if we don't, eventually we're going to die on this one planet, because our planet has a lifespan. So this should be a bipartisan issue. Every president should be in favor of space research, space investment. So I'll link this so you can go watch this and read this for yourself. It's on the NASA website.